Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody, as you guys are coming in. Good morning. Happy, first of all, happy Friday. Happy Friday. All right, today is day 12. Today is day 12. Happy Friday. Welcome to day 12. Welcome to day 12. Good morning, Faith. I see you. Good morning, Faith. Um, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, as people are coming on, I'm gonna give everybody a second to jump on. It's good morning. Today is day 12, y'all. Day 12. Today, I say this every day, but today we're going to continue to not continue the conversation, but we're talking about breaking free from emotional triggers today. Yeah, so come on in the room. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hi, good morning. Thank y'all for joining. I know it's Friday, so a lot of us are like, we pulling it together. We pulling it. We pulling it together, y'all. We pulling it together. All right. So good morning. Welcome. Good morning, Faith. Um, hope your day, your morning is also a good start because you are here. Hope that you had a great week. Um, sorry, I'm trying to make sure that okay, I can't see the YouTube today. Oh, come on. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay. So good morning, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Thank y'all for hopping on. Good morning to everybody watching on Facebook. I don't know why the technology is acting crazy today, but hopefully you could hear and see me okay. Because I can't tell where my usual systems is not here. I'm sorry. Look, come on, don't be trying to wait to day 12 to act crazy. All right, but here we go. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning, Lex. Good morning, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to work through the technology and do all this stuff. But anyway, we're gonna jump right into it. We ain't gonna let nothing stop our shine. Okay. We have been going through this week. We are on day 12. We have been having good conversation surrounding the distractions that we are facing in life. So we're gonna keep this party going. We're gonna keep this party going with day 12. Again, like I said, our theme today is breaking free from emotional triggers. Come on. So on this 21 day distraction detox, it's important for us to understand, what it means to detox from the distractions that keep us stagnant, the distractions that don't allow us to move forward, the distractions that become the hindrances that keep us in a space and place that God's already delivered and pushed us from. So I'm happy that we have committed to this, that we are here, we're showing up every morning. And listen, we are in the stage of our detox where we're not just aware, we're making conscious decisions and efforts to eliminate the distractions. Week one, we talked about identifying the distractions. Week two, we're releasing some stuff, okay? Because we have made a conscious effort to say, listen, we're not just going to be aware, we're going to take action, right? We're not just going to be aware that there's a problem. We're going to take action against the problem. So here we are, day 12. The last couple of days, we've been releasing the weight. We've set boundaries because we realize that relational distractions are a thing. Come on. We set boundaries, and then yesterday we talked about renewing our thinking. Okay, we're getting rid of some stinking thinking. We're walking in newness. I mean, it's just the ball has been rolling. So here we are today. We're going to talk about something that I feel like pulls many women into cycles. And we already know last week we talked about how cycles are a big distraction because it keeps us in the same habits, the same cycles, the same circles, and it doesn't give us room to grow and to develop. So we're going to talk about emotional triggers. So I say this all the time. Like many of us as women, we think that we are stuck. Yep. Many of us as women, we think that we are stuck, but we are not stuck. We triggered. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it because that has been one of the most common terms in the last few years amongst women. Um, it's not that you're stuck, it's that people are triggered. I mean, whether it's a comment on social media, a tone that somebody takes with you through text, whether it's a memory, whether it's a particular situation, whether it's a feeling of rejection, suddenly you're reacting from an old wound instead of responding from your healed self. We triggered. Good morning, Ashley. Good morning, y'all. And what we don't understand is triggers reveal where healing is still needed. Okay, so for those who don't understand, we're in our 21-day detox. We're talking about what it means to be break free from emotional triggers. So when we talk about the emotional triggers in our life, we got to understand, like, some women be thinking like I'm stuck, but what we don't realize is they're operating from triggers, right? And triggers can be a litany of things, and then suddenly we find ourselves we're reacting from old wounds instead of responding from our healed self. So what triggers do, they reveal where your healing is still needed. That's what a trigger is. Triggers will reveal where there is healing that is still needed. Okay, listen, James 1 and 9, it tells us you must be all quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Because what that does is slowing down gives wisdom room to lead. Because you give yourself time to process and time to think. You're not being reactive to a situation. Because reacting quickly often reveals emotional pain that hasn't healed. Some of us are reacting to situations without taking a moment to slow down and truly process and give thought and wisdom to the things that we are going through, right? And what triggers look like are triggers can show up, they can show up as overreacting to small things. There can be triggers that make you shut down emotionally. Yeah, there are triggers that can make you feel instantly defensive. So you're listening to respond and not listening to understand. Triggers can like replay past hurts over and over in your head, that you're rehearsing things that have already happened. Triggers can show up as you assuming rejection. Just because somebody say, hey, I can't make it or I can't do this, you instantly assume rejection. And then also triggers can show up as like people pleasing to avoid conflict. We see that show up in our emotional triggers or in our emotional distractions all the time. So the reactions are not random, they are learned responses. Your reaction often reveals your past more than your present. If you think about that, your the things that you go through, the way that you react and the way that you respond, they often reveal your past more than your present. And it's important for us to understand the difference. Good morning. Good morning, Brittany. Good morning, Brianna. Good morning. Good morning, Shamira. Happy Friday. Good morning. Okay, so it's important for us to understand the difference between reaction versus trigger. Come on, come on. We're gonna understand this thing. Good morning, Ashley over here on YouTube. Good morning. It's important for us to understand, the difference between reaction versus trigger. So let's slow down here because this is kind of important because I hear this all the time. But I want us to understand something. Not every emotional response mean that you are triggered. I know trigger was like the SAT word of like 2024, 2025. Everybody was triggered, right? But it's important for us to understand because when we use terms like that, we're speaking things over our life that are truly not what we're going through. We're giving a label to something that's not accurate. Because not every emotional response means that you are triggered. Sometimes you are responding to a real moment. This is why emotional intelligence is important. Being emotionally intelligent is important because it helps us to know the difference Feeling something is human. Your emotions are warranted. Having an emotional response to something that affects you in real time is important. Emotional intelligence, it helps us know the difference. Feeling something is human. I don't want y'all to think that every time you feel an emotion that, oh, this is a trigger. Feeling something is human, but being ruled by it is unhealed. Remember, I said we feel our feelings, but we're not fueled by our feelings. We got to understand that what an emotional reaction is. An emotional reaction is a healthy response, is a healthy response to what is happening right now. Okay? So when you're going through something and things begin to happen, it is a on-time reaction to the moment. For example, like when you feel hurt when somebody speaks harshly to you. So say you're in a situation. Good morning, Evita. Say you're in a situation where you're going through something with somebody, and you feel hurt because of the way they're speaking to you, or you could feel disappointed because you were expecting something and it didn't happen. It's also like can show up like an example of an emotional reaction could be you're frustrated because your expectations weren't met. You're not triggered. That doesn't mean you're triggered. That means no, you're having a real time reaction to something that has affected you. Just like when you're feeling sad when something doesn't, your emotions are real. And these emotions are normal. And I think it's important for us to have that emotional IQ when it comes to our emotional intelligence, because if we don't and we keep misdiagnosing and keep self prescribing and keep telling ourselves these things, we're going to get to a place where the distractions will set in because we're giving stuff terms and labels and names that truly is not there. Your emotions are normal, they are signals that something matters to you. Don't suppress how you feel, but also don't let it be your driving force. Because listen, emotions, they pass. They are not supposed to hijack your identity, and they are also not supposed to control your behavior. Come on, I'm gonna say that again. Your emotions pass. This is why you cannot make emotional decisions in the moment, because they pass. And we don't want our emotions to hijack our identity because we don't want them to control our behavior. Good, sad, happy, or indifferent. Remember this, emotions are indicators, they're not dictators. How you feel, your emotions, they are indicators. They indicate what you are feeling in the moment, your response to something that's happening in the moment. Emotions are indicators, not dictators. Don't allow your emotions to dictate who you are and who you become. All right, so that is an emotional response. Now we're going to talk about what is being triggered. I'm just trying to help us real quick because honestly, we can't say we're releasing the distractions, we're identifying distractions, but we don't understand the difference between an emotion and a trigger. I'm just trying to help us. I'm just trying to help us as holistic women. I'm just trying to help us. Listen, this is our season of divine focus. We're no longer allowing distractions to feed us, and we got to give understanding and meaning to the things that we're going. My bad, y'all. We got to give understanding and meaning to the things that we're navigating through in everyday life, so that we can truly be divinely focused. So here we are. What does it mean to be triggered? So I believe a trigger. So typically, like a trigger, it happens when a present moment activates like an unresolved past wound. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I had to make sure I was using the right vernacular. But being triggered, it happens when a present moment, like something that happened in right now, activates an unresolved past wound from your past. So an example of like a trigger, a real trigger, is like feeling rejected because somebody didn't text you back quickly. Come on. So feeling you another example of that can be feeling disrespected when giving feedback. Like soon as somebody give you some feedback that you don't necessarily want to hear, something happens. It could be feeling abandoned when the plans changed. You don't just feel upset like, oh man, I really was looking forward to it. But okay, you feel abandoned and you take that in and you harbor it. That could be a trigger. Another example of a trigger is shutting down during conflict. It's like, no, I'm just having a hard conversation with you. It's okay to feel comfortable about a conversation and feel like, okay, I do need to work through this. But to completely shut down, that could be a trigger. Another example is like if you overreact to minor disagreements. Like, so you get into, okay, well, I think this is blue, but if you think it's dark gray, then that's on you. That will tear you up. A trigger. So when you're triggered, I really believe I think it's important for you to understand that there are reactions that happen within the body when you are triggered. Your nervous system reacts quickly. There are some chemical balances in your life that alter because if there's a real trigger that's taking place, it's in you. So your nervous system reacts quickly. Past pain floods your past pain, it floods the present moment. You go right back to that thing that hurt you. Your response feels automatic and you feel emotionally overwhelmed. Listen, I know I'm kind of trying to break it down this morning because I really want us to understand the difference between an emotional response and a trigger, especially since we just had that conversation yesterday in regards to relationship. Because I don't want us making emotional decisions and then finding ourselves back into situations and places and circles that activate the distractions in our life. So a trigger is the past that's interrupting your present. I'm going to say that again. A trigger is the past that's interrupting your present. And like I said before, your emotions are indicators, not dictators. So I'm happy we got a good understanding of the two. But now let me tell you how to tell the difference. You got to start to ask yourself, is my response proportionate to what just happened? Am I responding accurately to the situation that just happened? Or is this or does this remind me of a past hurt? You got to start being aware because I told y'all awareness will remove shame. When you are aware of a thing, it removes the shame and the stigma of a thing. Because understanding builds emotional intelligence. The more you understand, the more you build your emotional intelligence because you are thinking from a different perspective. Your paradigm, you're thinking about things differently. Because emotional intelligence is not the absence of emotion. You don't become cold and dull and cold hearted. Emotional intelligence is not the absence of emotion. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you don't have emotion, but emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, to understand, and manage your emotions with wisdom. I'm not telling y'all off. I don't know why I just took that tone. My bad, y'all. But for real, emotional intelligence, being aware of your emotions is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to recognize, like, okay, something did something's bothering me. All right, let me understand this, let me process this, let me manage it, and let me move forward with wisdom. Because emotionally intelligent women, because that's what we are. Emotionally intelligent women, they notice what they feel. Good morning. They notice what they feel. They pause before reacting. They understand the root of emotions. They choose responses intentionally. They communicate instead of exploding or shutting down. Come on, emotionally intelligent women. That sounds like a holistic woman to me. So we got to notice emotionally intelligent women, they notice what they feel. They take a pause before they react and before they respond, before we send that text, before we hit send on the social media. We understand the root of our emotions. We choose responses intentionally, and then we communicate instead of exploding or shutting down. We don't just shut down. We don't just shut down. Emotional intelligence allows healing to guide our responses. So some of you thought you were too emotional. You were not. Some of you believe that you was overreacting in certain situations, and reality is, it's not that, but it could have been like old wounds were asking for healing. You were dealing with something in the moment that reminded you of an old wound, and it was just your old wound asking for healing. And I really believe that this 21-day detox, this 21-day distraction detox, it is helping us to understand ourselves and not judge ourselves. It's helping us to put a mirror, turn the mirror on ourselves and look internally, not just externally, so that we can help ourselves and understand ourselves, because we have been judging ourselves for far too long. We have been putting ourselves down for far too long. You are not, look, I want you to get out of the habit of judging yourself, and I want you to begin to understand who you are, how you operate, what sets you, because understanding creates freedom. And we talked about walking in freedom for the rest of this year. Because when you're triggered, triggers pull you back. When something triggers you, your body responds as if the past is happening over and over and over again. Yeah. Like when you, what you don't understand is your body responds as if the past is happening over and over and over again. So you try to protect yourself, you withdraw, you lash out, you over explain, you shut down. But the present moment isn't the past moment. We got to understand that a trigger is a memory asking for healing. You got to make sure that you are walking out healing every day. And this is how you break trigger cycles. Remember, you got to pause. You got to pause when you're in situations and you feel yourself, something is happening, something on the inside of me is being something is, the chemicals are imbalanced right now. Something is happening as a result. So listen, I got to pause. I'm not going to respond immediately. You do not owe anybody an immediate response. You got to name what you feel. When you go through a situation, it's okay to say, you know what, that made me feel dismissed. That made me feel like you didn't value our relationship. That made me feel like you didn't hear anything that I said. That makes me feel like that when I speak, you don't honor what I'm saying. We got to start putting some words to how we feel. Use your words, right? That's what we tell kids. But it's important for us as adults to start using our words. We got to ask ourselves, is this about now or is this about before? Am I responding from a place of now, of what's happening to me now, or I'm responding from an unhealed place of my past? Because healing shows up when your response changes. When you are put in almost like a similar situation, but you respond differently. So I want you, like, when you walking through like today and just think, even the rest of this weekend, and you begin to feel triggered, I want you to pause. I want you to breathe. And I want you to ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling? Check in with yourself. Look, pull yourself to the side and say, self, come on, what are we feeling? Why is this bothering me? Why is this making me respond this way? Why is this making me feel like this? Because listen, you are not responsible for what triggers you, because we can't control that. Things are going to happen. Situations going to come up. You are not responsible for what triggers you, but you are responsible for how you respond. I knew this one wasn't going to be. I knew this one was going to be kind of heavy. Not heavy in a bad way, but this is kind of like one of the reflective ones. Because when you talk about your emotions, it's, we don't understand how much emotions and relationships and things like that drive who we are. So we gotta pause, and we really gotta take self inventory and be like, "Dag, who am I at my core? If I really want to see change, if I really want to become better and to the next level, if I really want to do things new, if I really want the rest of my year to be the best of my year, sometimes you do have to slow down. This might not be the most popular live. This might not be that hoorah, but I'm telling you, when you take the time to recognize who you are, not just surface level, so it's crazy that some of us only know ourselves on the surface. Some of us only know ourselves. Good morning. Some of us only know ourselves on the surface. We refuse to take a deeper look into why we react the way we react. Why do we respond this way? Why do we see ourselves as less than? Why do we keep allowing people to treat us less than who we are? We know we are more than this. We know we bring more to the table. But for some reason, we have allowed society, circles, communities to tell us that we were not good enough in some shape or form. And internally, we have internalized that. And it shows up in our everyday life with how we carry ourselves, with how we respond, with how we accept certain relationships, with how we stay in places, with how we even deal with relationships and friendships and people. So it's important for us to understand the things that are triggering us and the things that we are responding to. It's cool with it being heavy because we're really weight. And if you're not ready to handle hard things, then you ain't ready to elevate. So remember, you are not responsible for what triggers you, but you are responsible with how you respond. Because if you respond in a way that's not favorable to where God is taking you, it becomes a distraction and creates roadblocks in your life. Proverbs 15:1, it tells us a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. Gentleness is strength under control. You are stronger with a gentle response than you are with a harsh one. That's why sometimes you just gotta let people have it. It ain't just allowing people just to say whatever. Sometimes you just gotta let people have it. Oh, you got it. Okay, you right. Let people believe whatever delusional reality they want to believe. You gotta let people believe whatever delusional reality that they want to believe about you. Because the minute you got to think about some of the people in your life that currently right now have an issue with you, have an issue with you about something that either you did not do or they have an issue because you didn't break one of your boundaries to appease them. So you got to let people live in whatever delusional reality they want to live in, and you got to live in the truth of who God called you to be. So you got to tell God, reveal the places in us that still need healing. And it's okay to admit, yo, I do still need healing in the area of, rejection. Or I do still need healing in the area of feeling lonely because I'm no longer, but let me tell you, it's important that this is why awareness is important because I am aware that rejection may be an issue for me, right? But I'm also aware that I'm no longer accepting anything less than what I deserve. That's why awareness is important. That's why being emotionally intelligent is important because I'm aware of what I'm going through, but I'm also aware enough to know that I'm no longer accepting anything that's below and beneath who I am. Come on. So you got to understand the triggers don't mean you are failing. That means that is God revealing where healing is still happening. So stop being so hard on yourselves in situations that may not be favorable. You got to understand, like, listen, my feelings are human, but being ruled by them is where the unhealedness comes in. I told y'all this a few minutes ago. It's also important for us to understand that our emotions are indicators, they're not dictators. Don't allow your emotions to speak for you because we make temporary decisions in the moment that affect our long term life. Your emotions should indicate how you feel, but they should not drive how you live. And we always give our bad emotions or our less favorable emotions but you got to be careful of the decisions you make when you're happy. You wind up getting yourself into something that in the moment it felt good, but you didn't take the time to think over time, can I sustain this? That's emotional intelligence. Understanding and recognizing, okay, who am I? What am I doing? Is my response proportionate? Am I just an automatic reactor? Or do I stop, think before I respond? I'm telling you, you can't allow your emotions to hijack your identity. You are not just that way. Do the work to realize, who am I below the surface? It's like we be expecting so many other people to love us, to get us. We go into certain relationships looking for them to fill voids, and because people are not meeting our expectations, we feel less than, or we feel this, that, and the third, or we don't feel, equally as adequate. We're searching for external things to fill internal voids. And it's like, no. We got to understand, who are you below the surface? You got to get to know you on a personal level. You have to be able to identify, is this an emotional response, or is this really a trigger? Excuse me. Is this an emotional response, or am I really triggered? Because if this is an emotional response, cool, I can handle that. But if this is a trigger, then I got to understand. I got to unpack. I got to think about this thing. What area do I still need healing in? This holistic journey, this is a journey. Nobody's expecting you to be perfect. So you got to stop expecting yourself to be perfect. Good morning. Good morning. For those who are just coming on, we are on day 12. Day 12 was about, breaking free from our emotional triggers. We talked about the difference between emotional responses, and then we talked about the difference between real life triggers. So I want y'all to sit with it. Was like, oh, today was a little unpacky. Today was a little hard. Today was a little more of a self check, but that's okay, because we're going to have to go through situations during this detox that's going to bring out a different side of us. And in order for us to bring out a different version of who we are, we got to do the hard work. We got to be able to recognize who we are. We got to be able to go a little bit deeper. We got to be able to pull out some things that was keeping us stagnant. All right. So triggers reveal where healing is still needed. And that's okay, because you want that. But you got to understand that your reaction will reveal your past more than it does your present. Come on. Come on. And remember, if you don't remember nothing else, your emotions are indicators. They are not dictators. Stop allowing your emotions to tell you who you are. So when y'all go about today, just begin to actions when you feel like you're in a situation that's kind of like it's pulling up on you, it's pulling at you. Take a moment to pause, to stop, and to think. All right? Don't just be so reactive in your responses. Be proactive. Start to realize early on, okay, what am I feeling? This is pulling out something in me. What is it reminding me of? All right, how are we going to respond differently? Remember, you are not responsible for what triggers you, but you are responsible for how you respond. So today I'm just praying that you take a moment, you tap in with you, and you get yourself together. That you are able to move from a place of emotional intelligence to identifying triggers so that you can remain divinely focused on this journey of releasing the distractions that are in your life. So I'm praying that you have an amazing day. Quick update, y'all. Listen, so tomorrow is Saturday. I have cheer competitions. So we won't be on live at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I think Saturday we're not going to be on live. My plan is to hop on Sunday, maybe in the evening time, to do days 13 and 14 together. So just quick reminder, Saturday, I will post it because I know some of y'all gonna forget. Tomorrow morning, we won't be on live at 6 a.m. Okay, that's Saturday. We have cheer competition in the triad. So I'll be out early in the morning getting the kids ready at a cheer competition. So we won't be on live at 6 a.m. on Saturday. Sunday is the Lord's Day. But no, Sunday, we may do an evening live where we will cover days 13 and 14 together. So just look out for that. And I'll post it on the social media pages. And I'm telling y'all, listen, y'all have an amazing day. Listen, don't allow those emotions to rule you. Feel them, but don't be fueled by them. All right, let this sit with you today. Let this sit with you. I realize y'all was kind of in it today because there wasn't a lot of comments, but that's okay. That's something out of the day that's going to help you in the long run. Then I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a great day. Be well. I'll talk to you soon.